This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced. Well, hello, folks. Welcome to the show. What a day it has been. Tuesday, the 23rd of August. And tonight, well, it's just you and me tonight. Patriot has been otherwise engaged in other endeavours today and is unavailable to us because where he is staying has really bad net service. So we can't get him on tonight, unfortunately. So I do apologise for that. But there are a few things that I just wanted to talk about anyway that have popped up over the last few days. And, well, since Friday, there's been quite a few people inquiring about different aspects of some of the things that we covered in Friday night's free-for-all. And now I understand for a lot of people, the free-for-all might have been a bit long, and there might have been quite a lot of information that you didn't get in that. So I'm going to go over a little bit of that tonight, and hopefully if you missed it, you'll catch it this time. And if you did see it the other night, particularly some of the stuff that we did surrounding Australia, well, you might like to have another look, and I invite you to go and check it out. Going to say good day to everybody who's in the room and saying hi. Peter in Townsville, Adam Johnson from Morgan, South Australia. What a beautiful part of the world that is. From Mount Isa. Oh, no, that's Peter saying hello, Mount Isa. Well, hello, Mount Isa. We got Adelaide. We got Jinder Lee, Flux Capacitor. There's a name. Love that one. Got a lot of people in from Queensland tonight and, well, all over the place. So great to have you all around. I'll try and keep up with the comments. And if there's anybody being a dickhead in there, try and let me know. So I guess where do we kick off? I suppose people want to talk about Ripcord. Now, I posted a thing on Facebook a day or two ago now, maybe 24 hours ago, Ripcord soon, hashtag Ripcord soon. Now, if you're watching the show last Friday night, I dropped Ripcord fairly late in it. And if you aren't up to speed with what it is, here we go. Ripcord is a code word for the beginning of an operation that involves all of America's constitutional sheriffs. Now, the constitutional sheriffs are very different to the law enforcement police that you see on America's streets. These constitutional sheriffs are elected by the public in their towns and in and in their cities as well, but mostly in their towns. And the constitutional sheriffs aren't just the guy at the top of the sheriff, if you like, of the town, but it's every deputy that comes under that as well. Now, these constitutional sheriffs have some phenomenal powers. And those powers cannot be stopped by the DOJ or the FBI or indeed any other legal branch of law enforcement in America. The sheriffs really, the constitutional sheriffs really are a law unto their own. So we believe that Ripcord is the term being used to trigger the event that if we're reading everything correctly and getting the information that's actually real, there's all these ifs. I mean, do your own research, keep saying that. But the research that myself and others have done points to all of those constitutional sheriffs being activated at Ripcord's instigation, and they will start acting on and arresting people on indictments, on those sealed indictments that we've heard so much about. Now, this will stretch into the John Durham investigation. Now, I haven't touched on Durham because, briefly only touched on him at times, but the Durham investigation has been going now, I think, for nearly 3 years, possibly longer. And they are fishing out all sorts of evildoers in all sorts of interesting ways. And that police raid that happened in Florida the other day on that house that we all know and can't mention on some of these channels that I'm on at the moment was part of that. Um, so don't be too concerned when if you are a fan of the person that owns that property and think you may be coming back in some political sense. Don't be afraid of what you're going to hear about that bust in the next few days and maybe week or two ahead. Um, that was done with a plan behind it because there is certain evidence that had to be introduced into evidence, and the only way to get it into evidence was have the police collect it. So if you think of it from that perspective, it's something well worthwhile. Well, praying is going to happen, and that will work in conjunction with Ripcord. Uh, those sealed indictments that have been under seal now, in some cases for 3 or more years, will be given to the constitutional sheriffs, and they will enact them. That means you'll start seeing arrests. People are asking the question about the midterm elections. Um, I wouldn't be prepared to say that they're going to have midterm elections in America yet. I don't think that that is clear by a long stretch. I think there is too many things that are starting to play out. So keep an eye on that space. There are many levels of this game being played. I think it's been referred to by some as a 5D chess. That is a very apt description for it. There are games within games within games. And that's why we always encourage you to do your own research. There's no point just sitting here and listening to me and saying, oh, you got it right. And then in a week's time, when I might mention a date and it doesn't come up, jumping in the chat and saying, oh, what sort of a dickhead are you? You got it wrong. I make no promises about any of this. It is what my research and others leads me to believe. I choose to share it with you. If you choose to believe it, great. If you choose to not believe it, great. If you choose to challenge it, wonderful. Bring it on. Love to have you on, and we can talk about it. So that's the story with Ripcord. Watch the constitutional sheriffs. Now let me just scroll back up here and have a look through some questions that might have been about that. G'day Ross in Armidale, V in Melbourne. Christoph's back. Redcliffe in Queensland. Yeah, the news apparently is that Fauci quit. I've only seen one document about that at the moment. I haven't seen any mainstream media news today, so if they're covering it, there's obviously every chance it's right. But yeah, I haven't seen anything to confirm that, so I can't really comment on it. If he has quit, well, we thought his clone was running out of battery, fairly soon anyway. His life expectancy isn't good outside of the clone's life expectancy. So it'd be interesting. He'll be going off to retire or to work in the private sector, maybe. That'll be the story. Him. When is Ricardo coming back? Max wants to know. Right. Well, that is Ricardo's decision. Ricardo is his own man. I have no control over Ricardo, much less A1 and anything they seem to be doing. Now, you would appreciate that if everything else that we are talking about here, including the constitutional sheriffs, is actually happening in the world, Ricardo might well be involved in some part of that. And he might be a bit busy at the moment, preparing. That is an assumption that I make. I know nothing in that regard. I plan to go to Sydney. Getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but after Singleton, I'm going to Sydney. So, folks, if you're in Singleton, we're going to go to the Cali in Singleton. We're going to stay a week. Lovely Brad and the family down there are going to have us, and we're going to do a whole heap of common law stuff, and Fitz will be beaming in and doing his bit. There will be another fellow constitutional lawyer traveling with me, so we'll be able to help you out with some other legal questions there. It's going to be an interesting few days. It's all very much geared towards Magna Carta 1215, people learning the oath, understanding what it is to fulfill the oath, and then taking that oath, and then being able to serve notices on the people that, well, deserve to have them served. And apparently down that way, there's quite a few. So, yeah. Star seeds. Yes, I agree. Fauci was actually, the real Fauci was executed over a year ago. Couldn't agree more. There have been too many face changes and too many ear changes in the Fauci clone to think that he's actually the real thing. So let me gaze down here. What's happened to the lockdown in August? Well, okay, Regan. I'll put this one up. The lockdown in August. Well, we always said there are things happening in August. We never, well, I don't think I actually said the lockdown was in August, or it might be. There was a lot of chat that it would be, but you've got to understand that in this whole game that we're playing, and I hate to call it a game, but if I don't, I'm going to wind up swearing a lot because that's how I usually refer to it. There are games within games, wheels within wheels. Some of those wheels are square. Sometimes they pop out and they're really noticeable. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes we are given information, broadly speaking, I say we, it's fed into the channels and it feeds its way down to me because, trust me, I'm nowhere near the top of that. I'm way down the bottom. So some of that information gets to us. And if the deep state, for instance, because they're very aware, they're following all the channels as well, they're very aware of what's going on. So if they start getting wind of the fact that we know there's going to be a lockdown in August, they may have the ability to, shift that timeline fractionally. Might be September, might be October. And there are some interesting things happening, which I'll mention now, I suppose. I know of 4 bases no, I beg your pardon, not 4 bases. I know of 4 resorts that have been booked out by military, um, not in August. I'm not going to say which month at the moment because if they're trying to keep it quiet, it's probably being kept quiet for a reason. But let me just tell you, it's not August and it's before November. One of those resorts is in Vanuatu. Now, make of that what you will. Some of these other resorts have golf courses and all that kind of thing, and they've been totally booked out. So I know of 4, 3 in the country and 1 outside of it. If you've heard of any more, love to hear about it. voiceoffreedomhq@gmail.com. Okay, so what's coming up? September 1, the Wollongarra Hotel is where we are going to go. Now, if I can, I'm going to play around here with Google Earth in a minute. I'm just going to try and find on Google Earth Wollongarra. It is a magnificent little town. I think that, I don't think, I know, rests on the Queensland-New South Wales border. And when I say on the border, I mean on the border. It literally is split in half by the border. So it's a little town south of Warwick. That's what I'm trying to get at. Sorry, typical bloke. I can't do 2 things at the same time, so I apologise. It's south of Warwick, about an hour south of Warwick, right on the border between Queensland and New South Wales. And if you are a Queenslander or a New South Welshman, I can tell you that it is the home of one Billy Moore of Queenslander fame. So the pub is reopening. What a great thing it is going to be to get to the pub, because the pub has been closed for 9 years. How's that? 9 years. So the Wollongarra pub is going to be reopened. Kerry is the wonderful lady who is reopening it. And here we are, Wollongarra. All right, so we will zoom right in here. So just to give you a bit of an idea of where in the world this is going to be. So it's inland of Byron Bay, south of the Gold Coast, south of Warwick, right on the border. The little town of Wollongarra. And once all that comes to life. Now, the pub, I think, is around here somewhere. in the middle of town. Wollongarra is so small that Google Earth hasn't done their walkthrough there yet because you can't get in it. And oh, maybe you can. Hang on. Oh, look at that! It's amazing what happens when you get technology working for you, isn't it? So here we are on the streets of Wollongarra. Now, I think if I am not too terribly mistaken, move up. I think up here on the right-hand side is in fact the pub. There. Now that is the Wollongarra pub. I think that's where we're going to. Well, I'm pretty sure that's where we're going to. Great little park around here. If you want to come and stay, you can put your caravan in there. I don't think it costs you anything for the night. And very exciting. So that's where we're going. We're going to open up the Wollongarra pub. Kerry is very excited to have us there. And for the first time in 9 years, Wollongarra is going to have a pub. We're very excited to be invited to go along for the opening. So see what we can arrange. There might be a few special things that we can sort out for that. I really hope that will be the case. Now, let's go back to Google Earth here for a moment. I'll come back out and we'll come back over to the coast to have a little bit of a look at what we were talking about. Oh, I've really turned Google on its head there. Oh, you're not seeing it, are you? Give me a moment. I'll reorientate and we'll go in. Otherwise, you'll all get sick while I zoomer and spinner and do all those weird things that you do with this sort of thing at this time of night. All right, here we go. Let's get back into it. Now, just having a bit of a look here at Sydney, and oh, there you go. Strange things happen, folks. I can tell you. Like, let me pick it up and show you. You see this? This piece of shit that Telstra sell you? Well, that's called a Nighthawk, and it costs a bloody fortune to buy. And right now, it is burning hot and turned itself off because it's overheated. Yeah, piece of crap. Got to figure out a better solution for this mobile internet connection, I tell you. All right. Let me just get back to where we were. What were we looking at? Oh, of course, we were looking at what's going on off the coast. So let me just bring up Earth again. All right, here we are. So these really weird lines are like, what could they be? These are questions that need answering. And you say, oh, well, look, they're not looking real big. Well, let's have a look at just how big that track that goes the whole length of the country is. It's, well, 14 kilometres wide, let's say. 14, 4 kilometres wide. These well, I don't know what to call them, but let's call them pipes. 2 kilometres wide, nearly 3. So what are they? I mean, seriously, what are they? You can see here that this track heading south is off the continental shelf. In fact, running essentially right along the continental shelf. But when it needs to go deeper or go under the greater landmass, it penetrates under the continental shelf. And we've been talking about Tasmania for a while for a variety of reasons, but have a look here at the amount of whatever these straight lines are that are all coming in here, right? And from this side too, down under here. Here, look at these sort of weird scratch marks and all that. Look at these straight lines, these really weird but quite interestingly patterned straight lines. I mean, and the size, that is 56 kilometres wide. Near enough to 60 kilometres wide, if we're going to say that, 60 kilometres wide. Then you pull out, what the hell is that? All right, what is that? Where all these straight lines seem to be running into. Does that look like some sort of a complex? Look at all these straight lines that bend at 45 degrees or 90 degrees. What? There are no straight lines in nature. But look where all these little tracks are coming from. How wide is, oops, hang on. How wide is that track? That is 20 kilometres wide, folks. 20 kilometres wide. 16 kilometres wide. This one here, a little shyer, 12 kilometres. But look at all this. This complex here, from its beginning point there to its deepest or longest point, which is measuring from over here, is 346 kilometres. There are no straight lines in nature, folks. None. So anybody, I'm just getting back now to have a look at the questions or any thoughts. Monster truck tracks. Yeah, well, they're monster trucks, all right, aren't they? But, I mean, I can show you, we can roll that down a little further and you can see quite clearly that these tracks go to Antarctica. So let's just see, follow the ones from Tasmania, right? All these come straight down here and disappear underneath the continental shelf into the Antarctic continent. All these ones here, same thing, disappear underneath the continental shelf and lead in. From different parts of the world, we can see, like up there will be the arse end of South Africa, so we can see evidence of these track systems all over the place. You see that? Traveling right across the Indian Ocean to Mauritius. And then, because that's probably not extremely deep in there underneath Madagascar, and then into the African continent. Now, I've heard stories that I've got to be a bit careful about what I say here. I have heard stories that there are 8 tunnels leading into Africa from here, from Gibraltar into Africa. So I've heard that over many years that supposedly happened, and that those tunnels are massive, and that they are up to 200 kilometres deep. Here we are looking at these weird tracks again. See how similar the tracks look? That one's 9, 8.5 k's wide. Takes a weird bend here. Just a weird bend for no apparent reason. So this is all here, south of Gibraltar. Goes straight into there. And the Straits of Gibraltar, well, that's interesting. Google have pixelated it. Maybe they haven't. Maybe it's just my slow machine trying to make it up. No, that definitely looks like they don't want you looking in there. Into the straits. They don't want you looking in too deeply. Starts breaking up at 10,000 meters. So why would that be? What's in there? Look at that. Oh, it's a boat. So yeah, can't really see anything in there, but interesting. That's one I've always been interested in. The stories about how they have plundered Africa and used those 8 tunnels to get everything from guns, money, and people out is absolutely amazing. So generally, if you want to go for a bit of a spin, you might find you will have pretty easy access to seeing these straight lines anywhere in the world from about 2,000 kilometers up, sometimes a lot further. But you can see there the patterns that are arising. Now, what are we there? We're at 1,000 kilometers. Let's go into Western Australia and have a look, particularly under Western Australia and around Perth. We have them coming in here. We have them coming in here. We have them coming up under here. We have them coming up here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going into a complex here right off the coast. That complex looks to be 700 kilometers or more. If we look further up north, we have these same sort of lines coming down into Perth, but the continental shelf extends out a little further. And of course, we are getting up into the area of Indonesia and the Ring of Fire, which extends, the Pacific Ring of Fire extends into certain parts of Indonesia too. So not seeing too much here by way of track, are we? Or are we? Oh, yeah, it's there, all right. Look at that. Look at that. A bloody crossroads. And what are these things? What's this? Just looks like volcanic rock, I guess, doesn't it? But look at that. That is a perfect crossroad. And the crossroad is 20 kilometers wide. That is staggering. Absolutely staggering. 34 kilometers long. Here we are. We're back to these wide tracks again. There you go, 15 Ks. And that one, if we followed it, will come all the way back here to Australia. See that? So there you go, folks. One or two little interesting things there to have a bit of a look at. So feel free to go and get your own Google Earth and go and check it out. What are they trying to hide? They're trying to hide everything there, mate. Absolutely everything. Yeah, absolutely everything. We've talked to you about dumbs. Well, dumbs are 10 kilometers down or more. The shallow ones are at 10. The easy ones to get to are at 10. But they have got them as deep as 250 kilometers down. We believe there are tunnels that are as deep as 250 Ks. And there are, as Tiny Cook has said here, or Teeny, underground cities have been found down there too, from all accounts. Old volcanoes is one of the suggestions being put forward. Quite possibly, yes. Quite possibly, yes. But does that explain the straight lines? I think not. Yeah, Matthew. Yeah, well picked, Matt. We're not on a spinning ball. We're going to have the flat Earth conversation one day, but with someone who's better versed in it than I am, I'm afraid. Um, yeah, Google Maps pictures, we do question them, but what else have we got to go on? And if they were going to put maps up or images up that were just total bullshit, um, why put them in the ocean? You know, why not just make it a blue? Why put detail in the ocean like that? Doesn't make much sense. Lost fuel, four-wheel drive drivers. Yep, big chance of that too. Thank you, Scotty. Yes, Bosie is a great man. He'll be a much greater man if he comes back and talks to us, though, won't he? Um, just so you know, there has been no issue between Ricardo and me, at least none that I'm aware of. He just simply is a busy bloke. I've seen him do one interview outside of the last one he did with me, and that was to another general or lieutenant general in America. And I think he did that last week. So, yeah, subs and trains. You're right, Karen. Somebody suggested to me that some of those markings that we're seeing, those straight line markings on the Earth, were in fact a mark left by submarines and their sonar. Now, I don't know if there's any ex-sonar jockeys watching the show. I would be interested to know whether or not that's possible. Um, I guess it probably is because the sonar, well, I guess on a submarine they have a variety of very powerful instruments. It may not be sonar, it might be something else, but these are dead straight tracks that are being pushed, and maybe it's created by sound energy. Maybe it's created by the wake of a sub at very low level. Like traveling, I don't know what, 100 feet above the bottom of the bottom, or 50 feet above the bottom. I don't know. Um, I'm not telling you that that the Martians have landed and they're driving underwater vehicles that are 14 kilometers wide down there. But I am saying, have a look at the tracks. What do you think they are? What can create them? We are all about finding answers to the questions around here, and hopefully providing a few answers from time to time. So that would be pretty interesting. I'd like anybody from the Navy or anybody that has some deep knowledge of big sonar systems, powerful sonar systems, whether or not they would have the ability to make a pattern like that that is so exactly similar. Um, yeah. Dale Holmes. Yeah, I'm very keen to get Dale Holmes for a chat, but Dale is in hiding at the moment, as far as I know. He's turned his phone off. He's not being tracked or seen by anybody. So as soon as he pokes his head up, we will. In fact, tonight, I believe Guru got a hold of Dr. William Bay, which is great. I haven't heard back from his people yet, but Guru was going to mention my name and hopefully pass my name along. We might have Dr. William Bay on in the not too distant future to have a chat about his predicament and if there is anything that we can do to come and help. Christoph. All right, here we go. Sonar anomalies account for a lot using depth sounder is a way to see it. Yeah, all right, well, yeah, sonar anomalies usually show up on a screen, not as a picture like we're seeing there, I thought, but I'm happy to be convinced either or. What I am more interested in trying to find a solution to are these things, folks. Like seriously, what are those straight lines? Now you can say they're pipes, all right. That pipe there is nearly a kilometre wide. In fact, I think if I measure it there, get it better, it is, yeah, basically a kilometre wide. That's a thin one. This one here, that's basically a kilometre wide too. Now, could they be sand pressure ridges being pushed up, by the water? And yet what we see here is the fuzzy or covered over parts of whatever these straight lines are. Well, okay. why would that be covered over there, and why would that be an edge there if that is in fact an edge, rather than a line of some kind? And why do these lines from here extend straight into these lines? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. And how deep are those? How wide are those lines? That's 2 kilometers wide. So you're not going to tell me that's the shit pipe coming off Bondi or Borley Point or Mollymook or Sussex Inlet, or Huskisson. These are all going up the coast, all the way up the coast. Here off Wollongong, look at these. So, I do take the sonar idea into account. I really do. But then why do these pipes go over the sonar track? Why do these things go over the sonar track? What is this almost square-like thing here? And why is it, that's not an old volcano. I am prepared to believe that, 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 and that might be old volcanoes, or at least peaks of, underground mountains, maybe. Um, but the rest of it, man, it's just weird, weird, weird. So very keen to see if we can get any answers to that, folks. If you've got them, I would love to hear them. voiceoffreedomhq@gmail.com. Okay, nice trains in Queensland, but they're crap everywhere else. Okay, good. So we're talking about trains in the chat, righto. Be nice to have Bozzy back when he can spare the time. Yes, Elsa, I think that'll be really great too. We are hopefully going to catch up when I go down to Sydney. Did I finish telling you about that? So we're going to Singleton. Singleton for, I don't know, most of the week, if not the whole week, and then off to Sydney. I will hope if he has time to catch up with him in Sydney, and we'll sit down and have a chat then, maybe do a live. I'm not sure that it will be a live with people around. It will be entirely dependent on Ricardo if he will do it. And if he will, then I'll be there to do it. If not, then I won't. My plan is to be down there, though, to do a couple of shows. So if you're in Sydney and you'd like me to come and do a show in your part of the world, I know there's some interest in Penrith. I know Guru's keen to put something together down in Wollongong or Shell Harbour. Wants to show me that he can put a show on too, I'm told. So that'll be awesome if we can get that sorted. And Don, who's down that way too, wants to be involved. I would like to try and catch up with Mrs. Cossack and maybe the Aussie Cossack himself, because the 13th of September is his hearing date. There is a chance, and I've got a really good feeling about it, there is a chance they'll let him out. Now, I'm not sure if they do let him out that he'll be allowed to speak to the likes of me or anybody else. I don't think he'll be allowed to do any social media, especially his own, but probably other people's as well. And I wouldn't expect that he would be allowed to do that until the full sentence has been served. And that would mean the 26th, I think it is, of November, when he would be allowed to get back on live, if you like, or back onto social media channels. Now, he is writing a book, so it'll be interesting. Apparently, it's going to be a very funny book, and I'm looking forward to reading it. So a lot of it will have to do with the postcards. I'm sure he'll be thanking many people for the entertainment that they've provided him, and obviously while he was locked up in solitary, they would have been some great solace to him once they started being delivered. But yes, a fabulous result for that. And please, you can still send him your postcards if you so desire. We're very keen to make sure that he isn't forgotten about. I sent him one just the other day, just to say, "G'day, how you going? We haven't forgotten about you yet," and let him know that I'm not really a vodka drinker. So I don't know what we're going to celebrate his release with, but we'll give it a go with something. Just having a bit of a cruise through. Rob T. Who do you contact to become a constitutional sheriff? Rob T, watch this space. Stay tuned. I can't tell at the moment because I don't really know, but I believe there are plans. So, don't know how long until those plans crystallize, but I have heard that there are plans. We do have something that's kind of similar, but it is plagued with Magna Carta 1297 and Australian Constitutional Act bullshit and is likely not to be recognised. So, yeah, we have to go slightly differently. And if you've seen other broadcasts that I've made regarding what's happening in America, their constitutional sheriffs may have an influence or indeed a large impact here in Australia going forward. So, yeah, as I say, uh, just watch this space. I heard a really interesting thing. A reminder: Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years for sex trafficking minors, and apparently to no one. Yes, Peter, what a very good point. I was speaking with somebody the other day, who may or may not be in the chat right now, who indicated to me that Ghislaine Maxwell had been seen at an eye clinic with a girl who looked an awful lot like Madeleine McCann some years after she had disappeared. It was an eye clinic. That person also indicated that Madeleine McCann is still alive and is in fact a model these days. I know nothing more about it. Shit just gets weirder. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But yeah, I'll tell it to you as I hear it. River Table. Somebody giving you crap about Bosie. River. Don't sweat the trolls, mate. I've got to admit, I haven't followed closely tonight. Are there many trolls in there tonight? Has River been in the tunnels? No, but Redneck. You one of these questioners, are you? I know people who have been in the tunnel. I know children that have been in the tunnel. So I said once before, you fucking redneck, that if you haven't got the guts to go down the fucking tunnel and look, then don't criticize the people who have. You gutless shit. All right? You want to go down some tunnels? I'll take you down some tunnels. But don't you sit there behind your bloody keyboard and bitch at people and accuse them of not knowing shit when you haven't got off your ass and done one thing. Yeah. If you want to go criticizing people, you want to go and say, oh, tunnels are bullshit, get off your ass, do a bit of research, show me why you think it's bullshit. And I'll show you my research and show you what a fuckwit you are. Beg your pardon. Sorry, folks, I don't like swearing, but this sort of shit gets me riled up. Trolls. If you had a brain between you, my God, we'd try and educate it. But most of you can't stump up a friggin' cell between you. All you can do is type insults. I'm the wrong bloke. This is the wrong channel. All right? We eat people like you for breakfast. Just a waste of time. Having a bit of a glance through, big enough for a submarine to go through. Yes, absolutely. Dock underwater. That's what all of those. I'm glad somebody sees the measurements is what you should be looking at. You shouldn't be arguing about whether it's a tunnel or what the hell it is. You should be looking at how big it is and what you could fit in it. Because there's only certain things it could certainly be, isn't it? Giant internet lines travel all over the world. Yes, they do. They're laid by ships that are about 20 meters wide or maybe 40 meters wide. Even if they're 60 meters wide, it doesn't really matter. The ships aren't a fucking kilometer wide and they're not laying cables that are 14 kilometers wide. So let's not go down the cable route. I did go that way, but pretty much disproven. Where is Ricardo? Probably sitting at home looking after his family. Thanks very much, Nairi. We've been through the whole Ricardo chat. If you missed that earlier, you'll have to go back and watch it. Yes, Joe, I definitely want to come to Tasmania. In fact, there are, I think, 3 different parts of Tasmania that want me to come. And I've never been to Tassie, so I'd love to come to Tasmania. We are in the process of trying to arrange it. I was going to drive down to Victoria and then maybe hop the boat because I don't mind the old boat. But I don't know that that's going to be possible. I will have a talk to the people that are your people, who are my people in that part of the world, and we'll see what we can rig up. That would be great. Did I see the UFC fighter clip calling out the pedos? Yes, Peter, I did. Very proud of that too. Just watch the UFC. There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of good people in the UFC. So yeah, watch the UFC. Suffering Bosie. Hang on, what's this? Barefoot Gypsy. I'm suffering Bosie Leopold withdrawal symptoms. That's very nice of you. Thank you very much, Gypsy. We'll see what we can do. I have no control over Bosie, so if he wants to come and talk, he'll come and talk. If he doesn't want to come and talk, he won't. If he's got nothing to say, or if we're going to ask him too many hard questions that he can't answer, then he won't put himself in that position at all. Will Bosie be chopping off heads in the background? Oh, Scott, I hope so. I hope so. I hope that there are arrests taking place that we're going to see where he's standing there slapping the cuffs on him, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. Yes. Pilot parents. Heard there was a portal under Antarctica. You're 100% right. Yes, I've heard the same thing. In fact, a number of portals. There was one under Pine Gap as well. I believe the only portal that is left running on the Earth is the one in Antarctica. CERN have tried to open another portal, and I believe that their actions have been shut down in the last month or so. Not sure. We've heard nothing about the collider. They did reactivate the collider in June, July, but heard nothing. So very strange that there is absolutely no news about it, given that in the lead up to them firing it up again, it was all over the news everywhere. Any news about Julian Assange? No, and I've got to talk to WikiChick. So we'll have a bit of a natter, but from what I'm hearing at the moment, if you believe the mainstream media will tell you that he's still in the UK waiting to be deported because they still haven't decided on the appeal of his appeal. Others will tell you that he's already in America, and others still will tell you that he's resting comfortably and quietly operating WikiLeaks from behind the scenes. What's true? I don't know. I just know that we got to fight for him every step of the way. Every step of the way. Just having a bit of a cruise down here. Spiro, the lawyer which Guru interviewed, seems to know a lot more. Might be able to help Cossack. Spiro's a very busy man. Got his phone turned off. I've sent an email through his system. Spiro is also the lawyer that's in charge of the PTV, I think they're calling it, the People's Trust of Victoria. Now, I don't know if we've spoken about it. I did mention it to the folks in Harvey Bay because I wasn't going to blow Darren Bergwerf's party by letting the cat out of the bag. But I think it's now up and running, and I think most people, if you are interested in Victoria at least, you may have heard of it. If you haven't heard of it and you live in Victoria, listen closely to this. Something has been started called the People's Trust of Victoria, or the People's Victorian Trust, or the People's Trust of Victoria. I'm pretty sure it is. Spiro was the one who started this. Now, the goal of this trust is to get you, when you're fined or you get your rates sent to you or you get some sort of penalty that is applied against you. The plan, as I understand it, is to ask you to draw a personal check to the value of the fine or whatever the demand is for, and make that check payable to the people that are demanding that money from you. You put that in an envelope. You put a reference number that is your fine or your rates notice or whatever it is, reference number on that envelope and your name on the back of it. And you put that in another envelope and you send that to the People's Trust of Victoria. Now, they will hold that envelope in trust for you, and they will advise the people who are trying to get this money out of you that they have that money, that you have paid the money to them in trust, and that upon the proper presentation of their bona fides, the money will be paid out. Now, of course, no council, no issuer, no corporation issuing fines, can prove they have a right to that money. So, what do you say? What does this mean? Okay, well, there are two big benefits to doing this. The first is when you pay a fine currently, you lose your money straight away. This way, you're paying the fine via personal check. The money stays in your account until the person that the check is made out to, or the organisation the check is made out to, can claim it and cash it. Of course, we know they can't ever claim and cash that check. They do not have a legal right to it. They do not have any legal right to demand you pay anything. So don't pay them. Keep your money in your pocket, but make the personal check out to them. And should they ever be able to provide the proof that they are entitled to that money, the check will be handed over, and you will have to make sure that there is money in that check account to cover the payment of that amount. But as I've said, again, they'll never, ever be able to prove that they have a right to issue the fine, let alone claim the money. So the People's Trust of Victoria is going to starve the Victorian government of money because they have particularly a speed camera regime down there that is just unbelievable. 2 kilometres over the limit and a big fine. Queensland have followed suit. Now we're in the same league. I think we might even be a little stricter when it comes to the fines and points that come with speeding in Queensland now. The problem is in Victoria, they have speed cameras every kilometre or two in certain places on roads, and they're mounted in pillars, they're mounted on overpasses, they're mounted on mobile bloody machines. I saw the news briefly tonight. I saw a news story somewhere about well, I'm going to call it a yellow Dalek, a tracked vehicle that has a mobile speed camera, and it is now going to be used in areas like roadworks and school 40 kilometre an hour zones. Seriously, it looks like a robotic bloody speed camera, but big box on a set of tracks. So they're rolling them out all over the place. Now, there is talk that there is a People's Trust of Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia, Tasmania, Western Australia, and Northern Territory coming too. Pardon me. I don't know about that. That's why I want to get a hold of Spiro, see if that's actually being set up, because I know that if we can starve the governments of money, that's going to be a very good start. It will force them to react, and what will they try and do? They'll try and beat that with legislation, which can't actually work in a court either. So I really believe that this is one great action that's being taken in Victoria. We'll see what happens. I don't know how many people have taken advantage of this service so far. When I was talking to Darren Bergworth a week or two ago about it, he said then that they were just starting to get some fines and envelopes in. And I think he said at the time they'd processed about 100 already. So it had only been going a day or so when we spoke then. So it's been going a couple of weeks now. It'd be interesting to see how many people have taken advantage of it, and more particularly how the guys are promoting it. This is the first time I've spoken about it extensively. So hopefully there's a few people out there tonight in Victoria who now have learned something new. And I would urge you to investigate the People's Trust of Victoria. If you have any fines or your rates are due or anything like that, at the very least, it's going to make a lot of people very uncomfortable, and they are going to have to come and prove that they have the right to charge you this fee. And we know, of course, that that is not going to happen. Penrith Leagues Club. Yeah, look, I don't know. Penrith Leagues Club, that's got to be a pretty big room, doesn't it? I think the biggest crowd I've ever been able to attract was about 170 people. I want to say that was in Toowoomba. It might have only been 150 people. So that was about the biggest one we've got so far. I think Leagues Club, somebody wanted to do Twin Towns. That's a 700-seat room. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could put 700 people in a room. Just don't think there's that much interest yet. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's 700 of you watching now online. So if we all buy a ticket and go to Twin Towns, maybe. Yeah, the Cali. Yeah, we're looking forward to going to the Cali. That's going to be a great, and we're doing like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, pretty much solid Magna Carta stuff. Thursday, we'll have a bit of a play around. Friday, we're going to do a free for all. Dave's going to turn up, the guru. And, well, we might have one or two other surprises turning up too. I'm going to work on it. It's a little bit of a drive to get people to come to Singleton, but we'll see what we can arrange. I'm just having a bit of a glance to see if there are some questions here. Yes, Gail. Yeah, the Podesta brothers were involved in the disappearance of Madeline. Yes, that certainly does seem to be one of the stories that's proffered around, and certainly some of those identikit photos that were made at the time really do look like the Podesta brothers. So, yeah, very interesting. Somebody heard the parents were arrested. I'm gathering you're talking about Jennifer. Are you talking about Madeline McCann's parents? Don't know about that. Don't know about that. Really don't know about that. Haven't heard that myself. Madeline's father. Don't tell me this. Well, I haven't seen that photo, but I have heard that story. So, some things I want to say there, but I can't say them yet. But I will. We'll get to it. The day will come. I'm on YouTube at the moment, so I've got to be careful about what we do and don't say. Okay, so I think I've nearly scrolled down here. Peggy Sue, yes, I think if it's not available yet, it will be very soon. I think the plan is to get the People's Trust up and happening in every state. Tassie after Townsville, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm still in the process of organising Townsville. It's life's got a bit weird, folks. It's got a bit weird. We have to be out of this place in the next week or so where we're living. And we found a little place that we can use as a base. A dear friend of ours, has got a couple of rooms, so she's going to rent us those, and that will mean a slight relocation, but at least it'll be a base where we can keep stuff and travel from. And that's the plan. We need to get out on the road, folks. We want to come to these places. We want to come see you, do the shows, and like I say, there's some interesting folks that want to come on the road and help us do the show too. We've got a constitutional lawyer who wants to come out with us. Fitz, of course, will do what he can from where he can. He would love to come travelling. I'll just point that out, but he looks after his mum, who's quite elderly, and she's not able to travel, unfortunately. So we're not able to get him to places just yet, but that will change. Have no fear. Now, there were a few other things that I was going to talk about tonight and I haven't got to yet, and I better get back onto my little clip. All right, so let's have a look at this. How's that? Now, that's a flight track that was given to me today by somebody I'm meeting up with, and I'm going to go and get a whole heap more information. This is one aircraft on one day and the kind of stuff that it did. So you can see that it took off or landed down at Shell Harbour, came in from the north, and basically, Don, you'll love this. This is what you're seeing, my friend. Now, there are apps available that allow you to see all sorts of details about the aircraft that are doing this sort of thing. Now, we know that aircraft was this one, VHFLL. It's a Cessna Caravan, a 208 Caravan. Now, this one is a privately owned aircraft, but there are others that are owned by the Westpac Bank. They own at least two reasonably large turboprop aircraft capable of carrying reasonably heavy weights and able to fly long distances, as they seem to be doing, spraying their patterns and returning. The people who are following this are amazing folks, and I'm hopeful that in the next few days I'll be able to bring you a lot more detail about what's going on. These guys have been able to identify the pilots. They've been able to identify the aircraft. And with a little bit of working and reverse engineering, they've been able to find the owners of the aircraft by aircraft registration details. Now, this is just one aircraft. There are many, many. And the detail that I'll be able to bring you about this in the coming days and weeks is huge. So keep watching, folks. This is just a little taster for what's to come. But as I said on my Facebook page, if you've been watching that, to the pilots who are flying these things, to the companies that own these aircraft, we now know who you are. We now know where you are. We know where you park your aircraft, what hangars you're in. We know where your pilots live in some cases. Now, we're not going to knock on their doors. They're only doing their job. But what we do know are your corporate addresses. And I think you can expect to ask or be asked to answer some questions from people who might turn up at those corporate addresses in the not too distant future. And it won't matter if you're going to go and hide out at your local little airport or if you're going to hide out in your local high rise suite. We will come, we will knock on your door, and we will expect you'll try and give us answers that, try and fob us off. Understand one thing: we've been tracking you for a bloody long time. One of you was stupid enough to react the other day when we called you and said we identified the aircraft doing strange things in the sky. Was the pilot all right? And all of a sudden, the aircraft started returning home while we were still talking to you. So we know we're watching and we're coming. Just want you bastards to know that we're coming. So that's the little bit of news I'd like to impart for tonight, folks. I feel very hopeful about what's going on there. There are a number of aircraft. There are little places. If you're in Victoria, one of my old stomping grounds, Horsham Airport has a very, very highly respected maintenance unit, light aircraft maintenance unit there. Keep an eye on that airport. I get a lot of aircraft. You get aircraft, these aircraft particularly, are flying a lot of hours. Some are flying out of Victoria, flying up to central Queensland, spraying and flying back to Victoria all on the same day. And some are flying out of Townsville, flying down the south coast of New South Wales, spraying and flying back up to Townsville. Some of them are flying from places around the Victorian New South Wales border. Some of them are flying off little strips in the middle of nowhere. We know where you are. We know where you're flying from. And we know where you're getting your aircraft maintained. You can't hide. You can't fly things that much and not get them maintained. So keep an eye out, folks. If you've got a little airport and it has a maintenance facility that's pretty well respected and you get a lot of fly-in work, keep an eye out for that one. And I can tell you, folks, that one of these companies that owns one of these aircrafts is based in, well, has offices in America, in the UK, and about 12 kilometres from me in Maroochydore. Can you guess which door I'm going to knock on soon? So, yeah, going to be very interesting to find out what sort of bullshit they're going to tell us. So, yeah, folks, if you've got photos or video, and I have a friend who, and I don't know that she's succeeded yet, but I have a friend in Tasmania who got so upset with these bloody chemtrails flying over and the aircraft doing it, she went and bought what is a very, very expensive and intricate piece of telescope that is more than capable, apparently, of locking onto an airplane and tracking it in the sky while she writes down its tail number. So I don't know if that's really possible. If it can be done, God help you. God, if we can get that happening, girl, I'd love to see the photos of that. But if you are taking photos, folks, then I want to see them. I know today out west in Queensland, I have a friend there who was flying back from a week out on site, and the sky was just crisscrossed with chemtrails, just crisscrossed with them. So Queensland, we can expect probably a bit of rain coming in the next day or two, although just thinking about where she was and where they were spraying, that's probably going to go south through the southern corner of Queensland and down into New South Wales again. It may even go towards the inland side of New South Wales, but I think Northern Rivers area is going to get hit again, would be my guess. And what they do is they spray that shit way out west. It mixes with the atmosphere, and then they get those emitters going, heat the whole lot up, and that's when things start getting interesting. Interesting indeed. So yeah, okay, folks, if you've got photos that you want to share, would love to see them. And in fact, I'd do a whole show on your photos just to see where they are. So if you can tell us the date, approximate time, and approximate location where you took those photos, send them in to me at voiceoffreedomhq@gmail.com. Voiceoffreedomhq@gmail.com. And we'll put a show together. We'll just show folks all over on any given day how many there are. So let's maybe start from today and let's start collecting images from today and send them in to me on the day that you get them. I'll try and keep them together because that way we'll be able to develop, if you like, a synoptic chart of spray on every day of the week of where they'd been. So, yeah, please, if you've got photos and you'd like to be part of that, voiceoffreedomhq@gmail.com would be absolutely wonderful. Yeah, they are really hammering the south coast of New South Wales at the moment and out west in Queensland. I think Bundaberg the other day got hammered really, really badly. Just having a look here at Barbara's comment. 1 second, Barbara. The sky is constantly full of chemtrails. Woke up this morning at 7. The plane's still going. The sky was covered. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, that's sort of northern New South Wales too. They're back down there. I'm sorry to hear that, Barbara. I really am. God, I hope it's not going to get bad again. I really do. Yeah. Live door knock. Yes, Jennifer. Yeah, I've got the ability to do a live door knock. So, yeah. And I have a very dear friend, Mason, who'll hold the camera and anything else required. Might be me by the end of it, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. Robert Deutsch. Okay, all right. Let's have a talk about Robert Deutsch. I like Robert Deutsch. Robert Deutsch hates me. Okay. Now, if you've seen Robert, you'll understand he has a special way of delivering his particular information. When I was sacked from TNT Radio, I approached Robert to come on my show here in the early days. And he was very excited to do so. And I was very grateful that he would. Because of the time difference, and it was my fault, I screwed it all up. But I missed our first interview. And something happened with our second attempt, and it didn't work either. The third attempt basically became a slanging match, and he was doing most of the slanging. Look, what do? You apologise and you move on. So I did. A friend from Harvey Bay who has some dealings with Robert on a personal level has actually reached out to him and tried to build a bridge, but there is no bridge to be built. Otherwise, I would have Robert on tomorrow to talk about all this. But if you've seen Robert and you understand his way of things, he is, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to change his mind. I wish I could. But anyway, shit happens. He's doing very well by himself, and a lot of people like seeing his stuff. I do. I follow it quite closely too. If I was to tell you from a professional perspective, very difficult to work for or work with, like exceptionally difficult, and that's why you don't see him reaching mainstream media at all, or even some of the other big off main media channels because um, he has a unique style and refuses to change that style for anyone. Um, and it's probably better that he does his shows the way that he does them, by himself, answering questions that you guys put up to him, because I don't think he has the ability to work with anybody else, sadly. I've tried, really have tried. I really wish we could have really built that bridge, but anyway, shit happens. All right, there you go. Flux capacitor. That's a Cessna Caravan you've refueled personally. It's a survey aircraft, aerial photography. Okay, well, okay. I'm prepared to believe that could be the case. Knowing a little bit about aerial survey work myself, I'm wondering why they would fly that aircraft from down south to way up north in Queensland to do survey work when quite a lot of it is done by drone work these days. Although if you're going to do hundreds and hundreds of kilometres, it's done by plane. Yep, I would agree. So yes, I would agree. Flux capacitor, half a chance that that is exactly what you say it is, a survey aircraft. I don't believe that a Caravan has the capacity to carry enough litres of this shit to create what we see. I also don't believe that the pattern which the spray comes out at would come out anything like that off a Cessna Caravan. So I'm glad that you brought this point up. So yeah, that particular aircraft, I don't particularly believe has a spray ability. There are two other aircraft that have some really interesting equipment attached to them that there are photos of. So yeah, like I say, there's going to be a lot of information I'm getting in the next few days, and I'm going to go through it all. Hopefully, not jump to too many conclusions about it all. I'll put as much of it up here as I think is that you'd want to see, and we'll try and make a decision about it together. I'm in no way being definitive in what I'm saying that every one of these things that's flying around is a deep state spraying machine. I do actually believe there are survey flights out there. I actually believe there are sonar aircraft that are out beating the undersea areas as well, looking for some of those things that we might have been looking at earlier tonight. Um, so yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, Bundaberg got smashed the other day. Sienna's saying. Operation Pitch Black has started. Yep. It started last Sunday from memory. There is an app available that'll show you all the military flights in Australia at the moment. My God, there are some really interesting flights going on in the place. However, it is an international military exercise. We have aircraft here from Germany, France, America, Canada, Sri Lanka, Singapore, India. There are military aircraft all over the place, flying in and out of some very interesting and small places, as it turns out, some not so big. A lot of things flying in and out of Rockhampton, going straight back to America, flying into, dumping, turning around, going back. So that will be probably putting in either people or um, um, stocks, keeping them supplied rather for Shoalwater Bay with things that are going up there. Shoalwater Bay is only, not very far north of Rocky, 50 k's maybe north of Rocky. So there'll be a lot of military blokes up there that will need replenishing. Yeah, check out Mangalore Airport near Seymour. Absolutely, that is another nice little airport they like to work out of. And Mangalore also has a very good maintenance facility. Albury Wodonga is another good place to keep an eye on. 30 chemtrails over South Australia 2 days ago. Rain on Monday. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff out there at the moment, folks, that they're spraying. David Icke, yes, he's not allowed in Australia. I'd forgotten that. Yes, so David does speak about the 5G network here. well, not here in Australia. He does speak about the 5G network broadly. Um, I keep hearing weird things about the 5G network here. That it's on, that it's off, that it's not, that it is. It's very weird. So hard to say what's going on with that at the moment. I know that my little oh god, that's still hot. My little piece of shit 5G Telstra thing here that Telstra want to charge you a fortune for, and here you go. Now I'll just turn the bloody thing off completely. Yeah, absolutely useless. So raining in Sydney this evening, all right? So that probably has a bit to do with what the last few days has held for you. Read the trails. Yeah, no, Cessna Caravan, you're right, Christoph, wouldn't carry enough weight to do much damage. Although we don't know what they're spraying and we don't know what level of it they need in the atmosphere to create the certain thing they're trying to create. Usually it's a pressure system. They maneuver the weather by creating, if you watch Robert, by creating pressure systems that push it or hold it or do whatever. And they do that using these rather large emitters that they have all over the place. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting with what's going on. Just keep an eye on the skies, particularly northern New South Wales over the next few days. Okay, that's interesting. Meg's rang Mangalore Airport about spraying, told her to contact CPS. Yeah, why would you be contacting Child Protective Services? Okay, weird things. 43 nations, is that right? 43 nations floating around the Northern Territory. Well, 43 nations. That's going to bear some checking up on because if there are 43 nations here, it's not for an exercise, it's for a war or a fight. So, yeah, that's interesting. I hope to find out more about Operation Pitch Black in the next few days. I've got a potential way of finding something out about that, and then we'll let it slip. So we'll see what happens, whether it comes good or not. Hopefully it does. I heard that David Icke has actually made plans to try and return to Australia. Don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon because I believe he's on a list that will keep him off or out of Australia indefinitely. So he wouldn't even be able to apply for a visa to come here. He'd have to fight it from the UK or wherever he happens to live at the moment. Which, speaking of fighting, Avi, yeah, Avi's banned from New Zealand. But Rukshan isn't. Rukshan got in this afternoon. So you can check out Rukshan's channel, and I'm sure Rebel News will have detailed reports from Rukshan on what's going on in Wellington. Jacinda Ardern today backed away from any involvement governmentally or ministerially with Avi's um, lack of ability to get into the country. It may well be seen as just an overexcited customs officer in Melbourne who didn't want to let him on the plane because she thought her bosses in New Zealand might get upset when he gets off it. Don't know if that's the case or not. We'll wait and see. He might be allowed to go over in the next few days, but Rukshan will be covering things over there. Um, the New Zealand people are really suffering at the moment, and if you've got friends or family in and around Wellington, I actually rang a friend of mine over there the other day. I haven't spoken to them in a long time, and for whatever reason, I can't ever tell you why. Um, I thought they were a little bit awake. Wow, nothing further from the truth could be told. And I was given a bit of an ear bashing, and and called the odd name or two, and then hung up on. So can't really expect much help from that source because they actually live in Wellington, and I thought would be able to give us a good idea of at least a broad understanding of the happenings. But No, they're apparently not interested in doing that at all. I later found out they now work for the New Zealand government, but I don't know if that's got anything to do with it or not. Um, Having a bit of a gaze down the God, we've been going an hour and 20, kids. I'm sorry about that. I just think I've got to the end of the um, chats, at least in the StreamYard chat that I'm seeing. Any word on when Truth Social will be coming to Australia? Not until after it's been sorted out in America, but if you have a VPN, and there are ways of getting Truth Social in Australia now if you want it. But you've probably got to start with the VPN. So Damuni, great. Thank you. A friend has a nephew in the RAF. Originally 13, but he corrected her 43 nations. Wow, that just blows me away. And I will try and find out a little bit more about that. I'd love to see that confirmed. That would be a very, 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 very interesting thing. Roni, you may have a suggestion here. So perhaps the aircraft is surveying for the Smart City Fast Rail project. Yeah. Okay. Potential for that. I believe Sydney's rail is not travelling very fast at the moment. Got a lot more to do with people not being paid appropriately. At least that's what the union will tell you, I'm sure. Well, the government will tell you it's the union's fault. I'm sure it's, something very little. But anyway, we'll see what's happened. So Rukshan has had the vax. Well, he went to Davos. So I think at the time, he would have had to have had the vax to get on the plane to get out of the country. So, yep, I think that's the case. And you've got to think that Avi's, well, maybe not. Now the rules have changed, although Avi went to there too. So I don't know, maybe not. Let's not put words in their mouth. I'll try and get a hold of Rukshan, see if we can get him on for a chat. And he might be able to let us know exactly about that. You don't have to be jabbed to get into New Zealand. No, no. It's against every bloody human right known to man. However, the airlines have been running a campaign where they won't take you if you're not vaxxed, and that's their right as a private business to make that choice. So most of the airlines, I believe, now have made the choice that it doesn't matter what you are, you can get on the plane, but you've got to wear a mask. I think that's still you've only got to wear it on the plane. So you swap all your germs on the way in through the terminal, getting searched, getting patted down, getting rubbed up, getting sniffed, getting your sandwich and getting on the plane. You've got to put a mask on. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Really, really clever shit. And yet there are so many unawake people who think that's okay. That's just fine. That's just fine. Brett, I would hope so. That would be my hope. But 43 nations? Certainly sounds interesting. 43 nations. I'll be very pleased if that is the case. Okay, let's have a bit of a glance. Never used to rain in winter until these grubs started spraying us. You're absolutely right, Casey. Although if you lived in Victoria, you'd know it only ever rained in winter. It also rained in autumn, spring, and summer, and didn't seem to be too worried if it did it all on one day at any time, day, year, whatever. Cairns and Townsville coming up for rain, according to Pilot's parents. Good luck. A lot of folks are saying that we're looking at underwater volcanoes when we're looking at those things. I don't think that is the case at all. There might be some underwater volcanoes there, but yeah. What format are we not? Sorry, Bruce. What's this? What format are we not on? Sure, if Carl is saying what we're saying, only 108 in chat. Oh, okay, right. Okay, so I am currently going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 channels. I think I get an amalgamation of all the chats in the window that I'm viewing in StreamYard. I could be wrong. But you're saying in the room you're in, there are only 103 people, and yet I'm looking at 800 odd people who are watching live. So I'm getting an accumulated count of all of the sites. So I'll have some viewers on Facebook. I will have some viewers on Nun2K. I suspect that'll be where the most of the viewers are on Nun2K. And if they're not there, they'll be on Carl Liebold, Voice of Freedom. You might be on Voice of Freedom, or just plain old Voice of Freedom. None 2K is the main channel. If you subscribe to that, I know that those chats turn up in here because I've compared them on my monitor screen. So yeah, that's about so 208. You're saying in Voice of Freedom. Okay, 403 somewhere else. Yeah, beautiful. So I'm seeing an accumulative number of a bit over 800 at the moment. Thank you, folks, for spending your time with me tonight. So a little bit of housekeeping, I guess, to wrap things up. I have a shirt. In fact, here is the shirt. That's our Magna Carta 1215 logo there. You can't quite see it on the back, but I have it on the back as well. I have a couple of these sort of Magna Carta shirts available. I also have Voice of Freedom polos available right now. So if you want those, they're $50 plus postage and handling. I've only got them in extra large, extra large, and extra large at the moment. But as of tomorrow evening or the next day, I will have small, medium, large versions of some new prints that we've had done. I'm picking them up tomorrow. So if you'd like a shirt to help support us and get us on the road, we've obviously got to cover the cost of the shirts, but everything above that goes straight into trying to get us on the road and keep fuel, get us something to, keep us out of the rain. And we want to come to a town near you soon. So that's essentially what all this is about. So if you would like any of the merch, hoodies, I'll talk about. A lot of people have asked about hoodies. A lot of Victorians obviously watching. Yes, I can do hoodies. Bloody hell, they're a bit expensive, but I'm getting a deal. Talking to a mate of mine who's big in the industry, and we'll see whether or not he can help out. I'll have details on that in the next few days. If you do want to have a T-shirt or a hoodie and you want to order one, then all I need is the size that you want. Small, medium, large, extra large, extra large, and extra large will be available. Now, I know it's hard to see whether or not they're generous sizes or not. I don't know yet. I will tomorrow. I know the polos are very generous sizes, like very generous sizes. I fit in an extra large, and I bought the triple XL for me, and I swim in it. So if you're a bigger bloke than me and you want one of those shirts, I've got one here for you. Trust me. So those shirts in particular are quite good, but these other ones are from a different manufacturer. So I'm getting a sample. We will find out, and we'll be able to let you know how it sort of shapes up. I think I would be your average size, really big model. So I don't know. We'll work backwards from there. I'll squeeze my daughter into one, and anybody else I can have around here that is brave enough to put one on, we'll try and get some sizes out and make sure that if you order one, the one that turns up actually fits you, because, well, that'd be the best beneficial part at all. Look up the Clara Project. All right, I will look up the Clara Project and have a look at that. Once again, folks, really appreciate your time tonight. And as always, your support is always welcome. VOFHQ.com is the website. Oh, the website. Right. Let's talk about the website quickly. So the young bloke that was helping me out with the website, building the website, has had a few issues in his life and has had to hand back all responsibility for the website. That's a bit of a bummer, but I just wish the best for him. Just want to let him know that we love him. We want to make sure that he's okay, and that we're always here to help him. We're not here to stress him out. And thank you for all the help that you've done, Jaden, already. So I have another friend now who has taken over the building of the website. We had a big talk about it today. And I dare say we'll have another conversation after I get off this show tonight. Hopefully, I don't know how long these things take, but anytime between a day and a week or 2 weeks, I guess we'll see something starting to come up on VOFHQ.com. Until then, it will be the landing page that it has been. At least the donate button works. We can't actually change any of the dates at the moment, but hopefully by tomorrow morning we will be able to put up the singleton dates. maybe we'll be able to put up something in Penrith and Wollongong as well. And maybe I'll be able to get something up about Bosie as soon as I can get word through from him that he's happy to accept an interview from me at some stage in that week after the 9th of September. That'll be, unless he calls me beforehand, that'll be the first opportunity I'll get to talk to him again. And hopefully you'll get to ask him some questions as well. I know that he appreciates, I hear through channels that he appreciates the fact that everybody would like to have him back here on the show on Tuesday nights. I think we just have to be understanding at the moment that there is a lot going on we don't know about. He probably knows a bit more about what's going on. He is also finishing off his Law of War series. And if you haven't seen that, you can go and check out the Telegram channels for Australia One and have a bit of a look at those videos. I would encourage you to have a look at the Law of War. It's very, very interesting. I think there are 2 videos out already. Go and check it out. It's very interesting. And he is also in the process, of course, of putting together the book, I think, the next book. So he's a very busy bloke, and we would just hope that he remembers us at the appropriate time, comes back for a bit of a chat. Okay, folks. Yes, I think, Rosanna, that is about the most apt comment for the night. You're right. And he is aware of that. He is very aware of that, and not because I'm sending him peppering him with messages. You are. People like you are. People are sending messages to A1. If you want him back on the show, all I suggest to you is contact Australia One. Go to their Telegram channel, go to their Facebook page, and start asking, when's Bosie coming back with Carl? I don't know that will pressure him. I don't know that he's a man to be pressured. But at least he will know that you want him back, and it's not just me bleating on about it. Maybe he might think that I just need him for web hits or something like that. I don't care. I'm not about here. If the more people that see his message, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It's not about me here. We're about trying to fix what's going on in this god-awful world. And at the moment, he seems to be the only one in the country who's going to stand up and help us do that. I'd be around to support him every step of the way for that, until such time as it's discovered that he's not the person that he tells us he is. I have no reason to believe that that's the case, so don't go and start putting words in my mouth there, but I will support him 100%, as I know you will, except for the trolls, because, well, let's face it, where would the world be without you, you bastards? And it's nice to have an opposing view. We don't necessarily have to all agree on things, and opposing views is how we learn. Well, some of us, if we've got an open mind anyway. Maybe we should leave it like that. Chew. God, I love you, Chew. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. This is the one. Brett, tell him Flynn will be on. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Fingers crossed. All right. I've been talking for hours. I haven't had my red cordial. It's about time I went. That's why I'm starting to cough up lungs. Thanks, folks. Really appreciate you spending your evening with me tonight. Thank you very much for your support. News about Singleton. If you want to come to Singleton, then yep, be there. Bring your caravan, bring your tent, bring your camper, bring whatever you're going to bring. There are some rooms at the pub, but we're staying in a few of them, so I'm not exactly sure how many are going to be available. But if you want to come down, it's going to be a big week of common law there, and by the end of it, you might just walk out under oath of Magna Carta 1215 and know all about how to present it. So if that's something that interests you, we look forward to seeing you. And if that's something you'd like us to do in your town, and you can't get to Singleton to learn how about it, well, get a hold of us, Voice of Freedom HQ@gmail.com, and tell us where you are. We'll put you on a list and we'll get to you once we sell these T-shirts, because that's how we're going to fund the fuel to put in the car to get to you. All right, folks, love your work. Thank you very much. And we'll see you again tomorrow night, I hope, for another show. I don't know what it'll be about tomorrow night just yet. I've got 2 irons in the fire. Hopefully one of them in New Zealand. So we might get a little bit of an idea of what's coming out of New Zealand tomorrow. And, a couple of other sweet little things too. Might have a bit more news on chemtrails. We'll see what happens. Until then, be safe on the roads, folks. There are plenty of dickheads out there. Please don't you be one of them.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!